Hello guys, Sir Grandalot here. Let's pretend for a moment that you don't care about how fast you clear the monoliths, how quickly you get to 20,000 corruption or whatever, and how early you can kill Aberoth in its final form. Let's just assume that you want to play the most chill character that requires the least amount of attention by you while you're focusing on your second monitor, watching my videos or some inferior content. A lot of people will tell you, well, just play Whirlwind Paladin, Whirlwind Void something, because you just need to press one button. But what if there was a build that was even more chill than that? And this is the ultimate chill build in the Last Epoch. It's something that I used in the 1.1 as well. I changed it a little bit for 1.2, but I'm solo self-found, so I need to rely on the stuff that I get. The build is as follows. You can see there is a bunch of nonsense on screen. And if you are familiar with Necromancer, you may be thinking, Sir Grandalov, there is a very important skill missing. More on this later. This build simply summons a bunch of nonsense on screen in the form of one bone golem, two wraiths, and four of our friendly mages. What you do is you teleport around with Transplant, which casts Bone Curse, and if needed, you cast a Bone Curse on packs of mobs. That's it. The build doesn't do anything. Essentially, everything else is automatically done by our army of nonsense. If you really want to try hard and be a top meta try-hard player, you can press A every now and then to really let your army of doom focus on a specific enemy. I had to do it once or twice, particularly against enemies that could heal, and it felt a bit bad. But in general, everything is done manually by the minions. And before I show you what the build is like, we talk about... Well, let's start with the gear selection, because as I said earlier, this is solo self-found. And I just reached the basic monolith, so it's literally whatever I had found that would barely fit the build. I would say the only important thing is teleporting minions with you. I was shocked to see this, by the way, the fact that we can get it on a ring. This is a new thing. This is all nonsense, don't worry about it too much. I just found this short ago. Probably if I found this at level 5 instead of the Wraiths, I would have used the Skeleton Archers. The problem is that during patch 1.1, my Swarm Arena, a Swarm Necromancer similar to this, I made it to 800 Corruption, exactly with the same playstyle. I didn't want to create exactly the same character again. I have a couple of ideas for this character, but it will depend on what we find along the way. For passives, I basically just got stuff that makes minions stronger, because my character does barely anything apart from casting Bone Curse every now and then, and more often than not, I forget about doing it. So as levels go by, I'm simply picking stuff that increases the damage of my minions, and that's about it. Once I get even more passive points, some extra health here, some extra points here, there are some interesting nodes here for the Lich, but it will mostly depend on where the RNG gods lead us, because this character can transition pretty well to a few different builds. You can go the Wraith Lord way, and if that happens, you replace the Bone Golem with something else, and your Wraith Lord becomes the main dude. You can make a proper Wraith build, summoning a bunch of Wraiths. You can go with the Exploding Zombies, although to be fair, if I wanted to make a zombie build, I would probably pick Lich as main class, because it has some nice things for exploding zombies and Infernal Shade, which is something that I want to try, by the way. I really want to test Infernal Shade, but there are a few uniques that are borderline necessary for the build. So if I do get them, I may consider doing a mastery respec, become a lich, and start to play around with Infernal Shade and zombies. But again, this for me is a character that is basically 6 hours into the league, more or less, and so we're a bit limited in terms of what I have available. And Wraiths, because they're very good, they deal quite a bit of damage, and because they leech back, we don't need to worry about their survivability. And limited to 2, because they do not decay, means we need to summon them less often, we barely ever need to summon them, so it's less clicks on our part. Bone Curse, like this, I believe I have the same Bone Curse setup pretty much on all my Acolyte characters. The last point will go here for the better kill threshold, and that's about it. Transplant, similarly, I have pretty much this same setup on all my characters, and the last point will go here. And then we go to the big boy, the Summon Bone Golem. It's very important in this build, because we do not do anything, so we don't want to die as well. And the Bone Golem can generate more threat, which means he is the tank. Most of the enemies will hit him. He has a ton of hit points and armor, so very rarely he dies. Unfortunately, his pathing, especially after using Transplant, but not only after using Transplant, is absolute S. And very often it will start to spin around doing nothing. So you need to pay a little bit of attention to what he's doing, because if he looks stuck or he looks like he's teleporting around, you need to resummon him. And then we have the skeleton mages. They're just built for extra damage. Pretty much every node that increases their damage, gives them frenzy, an extra mage, and the sort of good stuff is here. They're not particularly good, they're just okay. They deal a lot of cheap damage from far away, which overall fits decently well, because you have a tank, you have 2 light melee damage dealers near the tank, and these can stay a little bit far away. If you're in a situation where things look a little bit dicey, you can stay closer to the skeleton mages, because they can draw a bit of aggro on themselves, saving you a few hits here and there. Oh, good. I like XP nodes this early in the game. And let's enjoy this extremely chill experience. Again, low level, but I made it to 800 corruption in 1.1, so I do know this build works well. It's just a matter of whether you enjoy it or you want something that clears stuff a bit faster. And you see, I'm not doing anything, I'm just walking around. By the way, this is the first time that I open the game from my desktop, meaning that I do not have a loot filter. It feels a bit bad that it doesn't transfer on different platforms automatically. I will have to transfer it manually later. I could go to the tomb, but whatever, it's low level. Let's just keep going. And yeah, minions do everything. Minions do absolutely everything. I would like to... No, I didn't want to challenge it. I want to enhance it. Nah, whatever. We just stay at a decent distance and we wait for our minions to do everything. Their damage output is pretty decent. It could be much better because I barely have any gear that increases the damage of Wraiths and the Bone Golem, and they do, you know, the mages, they do very little. I will not even check what the uniques are. It's early solo self-found kind of season, so we pick up. I pick up pretty much everything that is a unique or purple, and every idol. We keep going forward. I'm barely clicking anything, as you can see. I saw the Bone Golem doing a little bit of spinneroonie. Okay, it's working fine. The cool part is that you don't even need to waste time clearing packs of enemies, because more often than not, the minions will kill them even as you move forward. Because when they start to hit something, they don't like to to let it survive, and so they will keep hitting it over and over and over again, trying to kill it, even if you're moving a bit at a distance, which sometimes can be a little bit annoying, and that's the reason why I reckon it's really important to have the gear that lets you transport minions close to you, because when you want to move, at least they're going to follow you, and you do not need to give them the manual command. What's that? No, I don't care about that. Wait, do I not care about that? Yeah, let's pick it up. I actually changed my mind. And seal the Savage Gate. Let's go to the Savage Gate. Here. A bunch of nonsense showing up. I'm not even paying attention to my hit points, because I know that the big dude, my golem, is taking most of the aggro. And if you keep moving, not a lot of enemies, apart from bosses with special attacks, of course, but I'm talking about regular enemies in monoliths. Not many of them will be able to hit you unless you change direction suddenly. Because if you move in one direction, if you go from where I am to the bone golem, the enemies will start to hit where I am. So if I keep moving, they're always going to be lagging behind me. Now, of course, if I change direction, it means that all the hits that were aimed at me where I was a few seconds ago are now going to hit exactly where I am, which is less than ideal. So if you keep moving in a circle or in a line, or in general with the character, you never stop moving, you're not going to get hit that much, and your minions are going to do pretty much everything for you. Any more tome nodes? Well, there is that one. Fine, let's do another one. At high corruption, of course, it requires way more optimization than this. You have to decide whether you want to focus on the skeletons, which is absolutely fine, or on the wraiths, or on a wraith lord. That would require a completely different build, by the way. Completely different if you want to maximize a wraith lord. But in general, no matter what kind of swarm or big dude necromancer you pick, is going to work well. As a side note, for me the necromancer in the Last Epoch is one of the best, if not the best, summoner class in general I've ever played in any hack and slash game. It's really fun. You can build it in many different ways, and it always feels like you are a summoner class. Not that you summon some garbage that does nothing and your character is actually the one doing everything. No, it's you summon stuff that serves a purpose and that is powerful. It's really well designed. And since this requires zero attention from yours truly, which is what I really like from this build, I will also take a minute to talk about the update, and the too long didn't read / watch is that it's phenomenal. The amount of content that they included in the 1.2 is amazing, which makes 1.1 feel a bit sour. I have not made much content for patch 1.1 because it felt like basically the 1.0 with very little extra stuff, very little, and I didn't want to start feeling burned out about the game, because I absolutely love Last Epoch, best hack and slash game I've played in a very long time. But 1.1 for me was a bit disappointing, both in terms of new content as well as in terms of the length. It was excessively long. I even made a video about it. You can find it on my channel where I complained about a season being 6 months old or whatever it was, and adding very little content, because it didn't give us much incentive in building new characters, exploring new things. It was very dull. Slay enemies to locate a thing. Okay, let's keep killing stuff then. This, on the other hand, the amount of content is crazy. I know that I should go to the tomb, but you know, it's it's very early game. And I'm enjoying a lot of the Weaver mechanics, the Atlas of the Weaver blessings and all the sort of stuff. And I think that in general, Weaver items, since their inception, have been designed very well. Because they had a layer of RNG in the game that sometimes a Weaver item will roll like S, no harm done. Because you usually have something else for your build for the end game. But every now and then a Weaver item is going to get some god rolls, and you can slot them in a multitude of builds. And it feels really good when it happens. Really, really good. And there are a lot of new Weaver items. There are the Weaver blessings on the idols, which the new idols, by the way, can get some absolutely crazy good stuff. It's very annoying when you roll one and it's bad, because you know how good it can be when it actually decides to be a bit helpful. To the Nemesis. Power it. Bunch of nonsense. Very, very chill experience. Very, very chill. Not the fastest, although for the campaign, arguably one of the fastest options available. Because you're not killing stuff directly, but ever since you get Transplant with this build, you basically just skip every pack of enemies that you find along the way by transplanting behind them, and you let your minions kill whatever the minions can kill, but you don't actually focus on killing packs of enemies that you are not required to. You just kill whatever is unlucky enough to be on the path of your minions. And I believe it took me less than 4 hours and a half to complete the campaign, which is not a world speed record by any stretch. But because you ignore most of the stuff that happens on screen and you just focus on the direction where you're going, the end result is a very, very fast campaign clear. Again, very early in the cycle we pick up pretty much everything that we find. Oh, we got a new Weaver thingy. Lizard time! Give me more lizards. There we go. The way I picked this, by the Weaver tree is I clicked lizard, I typed lizard, and I was like, oh, okay, lizards are here, so I want to go in that direction. Then I typed arena. Arena echoes no longer appear on your icon. And I was, oh, okay, that's it. So after I lizard max my tree, I will remove arenas. They have improved, by the way. They have improved. Confirm I'm close. But they're still the slowest ecos. I don't enjoy them very much, so I would rather skip the arenas. One more monolith, then we call it a day for this very quick showcase. As I was saying earlier, this is a build that I used in 1.1 until high corruption, so I'm not planning... Oh, he's drifting, you see? When he starts to do the drift arena, that's unfortunately the time where you need to resummon it. It's a button click, it's a bit annoying. I don't like to be too meta and press too many buttons, but every now and then it's required. Oh, here we have to kill a bunch of champions. Champions are great. Great loot, slightly more challenging. Very fun. Oh, there's a dude here. The wardens are cool. Just so much stuff. If half of the stuff that was introduced in this patch was in the 1.1, I would have liked the 1.1 a lot more. And I would have probably not taken a break, just because it would have been a lot of extra content. Come on, this exiled mage. Just enough. There we have... That's a bunch of champions. Let's go. I'm probably going the wrong direction, feels bad, man. The chest piece, the unique chest piece that is new to this patch and then transfers some of the damage that we take to our tankiest minion, is not exactly designed for the necromancer. I believe it's more for the druid, but very very solid, very solid for this character. I'm not sure what I will be using later on, because I've always been a ward enjoyer. Ward has been nerfed, so there is a chance that going hit points, or at the very least hybrid, is going to be better. But that piece of gear is very nice. It added so much survivability to me, and I'm talking about this one. It adds a ton of health for us and the minions. 10% movement speed on a chest, that's very good. Strength and strength to minion skills is a bit wasted, whatever. Healing effectiveness as main stat feels bad, man. But redirecting 22% of damage to the highest health minion, combined with the extra health and the extra movement speed, makes it for such a smooth experience in terms of survivability. It was the biggest gear upgrade that I got on this character by far. It made a huge difference. Like other small things, like the unique wand that increases the damage of my mages, whatever. The death rattle, these ones, like I barely notice it. But that chest piece, oh my god. I believe I've not died a single time on this character. It's a soft core, but the survivability is so good because you always keep moving, you don't need to stop for anything. And your minions do everything. I believe one of our wraiths have died. Yeah, time to resummon it. So we've done 3 monoliths, 1 wraith died, and the bone dude got bugged once. So very little clicking involved in this build, which is nice, which is definitely nice. Because, you know, it's not just out of laziness, but... pick that one up, that one is us, that one is us. Sometimes in the evening when I'm home, I barely feel like a human being, because my days start around 6, and then I have my commute to work, and then I work, and I come back home. I arrange dinner, I have dinner with my family, I put my daughter to sleep, and then it's around 9:30, something along those lines, and I barely feel like a human being. So having a build that for those days during which I don't feel like focusing too much on the game, and I'm watching, I don't know, an anime on my second monitor or whatever else, I really enjoying a build that requires close to no attention from me. Pick that one up. Do I have enough for all of these? Definitely not. So I will just pick the class ones. Not having the loot filter here is a bit painful, but it is what it is. Let's go. And that's pretty much it for this build. We did it. Okay. So it scales well later on, just needs different gear, and you need to decide on a path. Like whether you want to have a bunch of skeleton nonsense, this skeleton nonsense, or wraith nonsense, or wraith lord nonsense, depending on what you find or what you buy if you are if you're doing the market thingy. But in general, mechanically speaking, it's a very solid class to spec into. Oh, a thing that I forgot to mention, I should have said it earlier. Dread Shade. If you're familiar with the Necromancer, you probably thought, why is Sir Grandelot not using Dread Shade? It's one of the best skills that you can use for a swarm build. What is the problem? That this is designed to be a build where you do not spend time clicking. And if you use Dread Shade, you have 2 options. One is that you use it as an AoE buff that buffs all your minions, and it's very good, especially if you're focusing on a ball of minions that stay all close to each other. They all get the buff, and they deal a ton of damage, and you're happy with your life. But their life gets drained. So you need to resummon them more often, they die because they die more quickly. And the other option is you make it here. It no longer drains health, but only one of your minions gets buffed. Which is good if you have a Wraith Lord. It's actually exceptional if you have a Wraith Lord. Or if you want to Golem max, it's okay. But it requires more clicking. And this is a build with the least amount of clicking required. In theory, I could avoid having Bone Curse here and just apply it with Transplant, literally just clicking one button around. But because there are times when I stay far away doing nothing and my minions are here hitting the enemy, you know, it feels a bit bad to have nothing to do, and so I just womp. I click I click Bonkers because it also gives a frenzy to the minions thanks to this haste and frenzy, which is useful. And you do not always want to randomly transplant because the minions are going to follow you. It's good for moving around, but when they're busy and they're attacking something, you just want to do this. You know, you cast a Bonkers, and when the cooldown is down, when the cooldown is over, you can give them the buff for 5 seconds. So yeah, we will see where we go from here, depending on which gear we get and whether I find the unique set item for Infernal Shade, which would probably made me respec into a Lich, but we shall see. I hope you are enjoying this patch 1.2 because I've been having a blast with it, and thanks to the developers for releasing it in such a good state. I've been having 0 issues, which is very nice, very nice. Bye guys, take care.